The secret history of wars you never knew about. When we think of war, we imagine world wars, famous generals, and battles that changed borders. But history hides another layer, one rarely spoken of, a shadow history of wars erased from textbooks, buried in archives, and quietly forgotten. Not because they were small, but because they exposed truths too dangerous to remember. These are the secret wars you were never taught about. In 1896, Britain fought a war that lasted just 45 minutes. The Anglo-Zanzibar War remains the shortest war in recorded history. Warships bombarded the palace, hundreds were killed, and by the time the smoke cleared, Zanzibar had lost its independence forever. It wasn't really a war, it was a warning, a message sent across an empire. Resistance would be crushed instantly and without mercy. But some wars vanished, not because they were brief. They vanished because they were brutal. Between 1904 and 1908, German colonial forces launched a campaign against the Herero and Namaqua people in what is now Namibia. Survivors were driven into the desert, water wells were sealed, and escape routes were blocked. Those who lived were placed in camps where disease and starvation finished what bullets began. Historians now call this the first genocide of the 20th century. For decades, it remained largely absent from global history. No films, no monuments, just silence. Other wars disappeared because they were never officially admitted. During the Cold War, the world believed peace was maintained through diplomacy and nuclear fear. Behind the scenes, secret wars burned across the globe. One of the most hidden took place in Laos. Over 9 years, millions of bombs were dropped in a covert campaign so classified that even many US lawmakers didn't know it existed. Entire villages vanished. Children still uncover unexploded bombs today. On paper, there was no war. In reality, Laos became the most bombed country per person in history. Not all wars were fought for ideology. In Central America, the so-called banana wars were driven by corporate profit. Foreign companies used military power to overthrow governments, control land, and silence workers. Nations were destabilized, leaders were installed or removed, and economies were reshaped to serve export interests. These conflicts weren't labeled invasions, they were called stabilization. And because profit leaves no monuments, most of the world forgot. Some wars were erased simply by time. In ancient China, the War of the Eight Princes tore the Jin dynasty apart from within. It was a civil war fought by members of the same royal family, brothers, uncles, cousins, all competing for power. Millions died. Cities collapsed. The chaos opened the door to centuries of division. outside Asia, this devastating conflict is barely known. So why don't we hear about these wars? Because history is not just recorded, it's edited. Wars without heroes are inconvenient. Wars that expose genocide, exploitation, or manipulation threaten powerful narratives. Forgetting is often intentional, and that raises a chilling question. If so many wars were hidden in the past, how many are happening right now, unseen, undocumented, and denied? The wars, you know, explain the world you learned about. The wars you don't know explain the world you live in. And the most dangerous wars in history are the ones no one remembers.